Just like in this case, 6 people were arrested. And as you can see, all 6 of them are white. But here's what really happened. You hear about police shootings, riots, and burning of property in Atlanta, and you automatically think about black people for some reason. Then they show you this guy.
The Stop movement building, and we think this is going to be further sort of terroristic action on black and brown communities by a police state, which is out of control at this particular state.
Now, this is how they try to tie black people into every conflict with the police, even when it has nothing to do with black people or the black and brown or race at all. But here's what really happened. In Atlanta, they decided that they want to put a police training facility on a piece of property in Atlanta that hasn't been used for about 30 years. Now, some people say that this land is sacred, and other people protesting saying that they don't want to mess up the forest area in Atlanta. But from the beginning of this, none of this is about race. This is a battle between tree huggers and the police.
There is no peaceful resolution as long as their end goal is to destroy the forest.
The sparks really started when a police officer was shot by a protester who was living on the land that the police officers were clearing so they could put their training facility. So as they were clearing the land, one of the protesters was like, hell no, we won't go. And police say he pulled out a gun, fired, hit a police officer in the vest. And of course, what police do is return fire. They return fire and the protester get hit and dies.
A candlelight vigil was held on Wednesday night in Little Five Points to remember a protester the GBI said was living under this makeshift tent and was shot and killed after shooting a state trooper.
And in protest for the guy who shot at the police and ended up getting shot, people took to the streets. I keep hearing people say peaceful protest, but this didn't look very peaceful to me. These protests remind me of protests that were going on a few years ago in Portland, Minneapolis, San Francisco. Just like in this case, 6 people were arrested. And as you can see, all 6 of them are white, even though the media is sort of insinuating that this has something to do with black people. And from the beginning, it was tree huggers versus police.
The group calls themselves Forest Defenders. They oppose not only the plans for the police training facility, but also the loss of 300 acres of forest in the city of Atlanta.
When the tree huggers start setting stuff on fire, they start making it a black issue. This is what black people were doing during this riot.
It was supposed to be a busy night. Like, they had a lot of reservations on the books and everything, so I expected to make, some money.
I work right there at the local CVS, and last night, we just heard a whole bunch of boom, boom, boom outside, and we didn't know what going on, but then our manager told us it was a protest going on, so we had to close up the shop. This is my job, this is how I make my money, and that's affecting me.
There were 6 people arrested. Out of the 6 people arrested, 5 of them were from other states. Who's paying for these people's travel expenses? Who's paying for their food, their U-Hauls? Yeah, U-Hauls. They're jumping out of U-Hauls, busting windows.
They were pulling up in U-Hauls, and they had the type of glass breaker that taps the window and the glass just automatically shatters. I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe that this was happening here in America. It's almost like some third world country type stuff.
All 6 of the people that were arrested had paid lawyers. Who's paying for all this stuff? Seemed like they're on a traveling tour. But that makes me wonder, how come when it comes to a certain political group, they always get the word peaceful in front of every bad act that they do? But keep in mind, this has nothing to do with black people. This is about ideology. But again, all 6 people that were arrested were white. And I'm not trying to make this about race. I'm actually trying to clear it up so it doesn't have to always be about race.